Which came first, the chicken or the egg? You remember that old riddle? And you recall that it really has no answer. Eggs come from chickens, chickens comes from eggs. It's impossible to have one without the other. Let me offer another riddle. Which comes first, character or conduct? Does a person steal because he is a thief? Or did he become a thief by stealing? Do we tell the truth because we are honest, or do we become honest by telling the truth? Today's gospel reading touches on these questions. It revolves around a dispute between Jesus and some of the religious authorities. They had a tradition of cleansing their hands before eating, but it had nothing to do with physical hygiene. The cleansing was merely ceremonial. It was part of their religion. It was a ritual. They believed that eating with hands that had not been ritually cleansed would make a person unclean on the inside. They also felt that eating certain types of food would render a person impure on the inside. And Jesus took exception with that idea. He argued that eating with unclean hands could not make a person morally impure. And then he acknowledged a long list of evil deeds, which he says come from within, and these render a person impure. Jesus saw an interaction between character and conduct. They produce each other. It's like the chicken and the egg. The things we do come from within, from who we are, what we are. But who we are, what we are, is molded, at least in part, by the things that we do. So it's something like the chicken and the egg. Character produces conduct, and conduct produces character. Now, Jesus addressed his remarks only to the dark side of life, if you will. He said all of these evils come from within, and these are what makes a person impure. And that's undisputably true. You look at some of the evils that he mentions, adultery, that begins in the heart, but ultimately people become adulterous by committing adultery. First in fantasy and then in fact. Theft, again, it begins in the heart, the idea, but people do not become thieves until they start stealing. Deceit, same way. People become deceitful by telling lies. But gratefully, this process also works in the opposite direction. Jesus doesn't speak about this, but you can see that if we can degrade ourselves by shameful living, we can also upgrade ourselves by noble living. In other words, we can our conduct can improve because of our character can improve because of our conduct. What I mean is this, that we want to improve the quality of our lives, you have to do something. Here's a person, for instance, who comes to the realization that he's really self-centered. He's a selfish person. He thinks of himself, and he's not comfortable with that. What does he have to do? Well, he has to begin giving to others, give of his time, his talent, his treasure, and that's exactly what he does not feel like doing. Many people act based on their feelings, and that's like building your house on sand. We need to act on what we know, and the person who is self-centered knows that the way to become other-centered, the way to become generous, is to act in a generous way. So he would be impelled to do generous things for people, first maybe in a little way and then maybe in a bigger way, and after a while he finds that he's no longer as self-centered as he used to be. In most areas of life, we take that for granted. For instance, here's a person that, he wants to be a good golfer. So he can read a book, and he might get some instructions on how to stand and how to grip the club and things like that. But ultimately, the bottom line, you become a good golfer by playing golf. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Or to someone who wants to learn a foreign language, she might buy some tapes and she might take some lessons, but ultimately, she has to move beyond that and act and put herself in a situation where she's actually hearing foreign language and where she's trying to speak a foreign language, and that will be difficult at first, but if she keeps on acting in that way, she will become fluent. So Jesus says, evil deeds defile a person, and that is certainly true. But let me paraphrase that. Good deeds purify a person. If you want to be a more loving man or woman or child, there's only one way to do it, and that's by doing loving things. And watch the result. We become what we do. We become what we do. Amen.